great angel, the brightest one. For 10,000 years, the story of Sanguinius has been the gold standard for heroism in the Imperium of man. He's the perfect son, the flawless primarch who stood up to the art-traitor Horus and died so the Emperor could win. His death is the noble tragedy the Imperium is built on, a story of selfless sacrifice told to every child, a truth as solid as the Imperial palace itself. But it's a lie. And it's not just a lie within a fictional universe. As I've told you before, this reality is all too real. The only thing protecting us from it is a secret group you might call the Illuminati, who hold the keys to the gates between our worlds. And within that very real, very dangerous universe, a massive 10,000-year-old cover-up was designed to hide a truth so ugly it would break the very soul of the Imperium. Imagine if everything you believed about your greatest hero was a lie. How would you react? What I'm about to share with you is not a fan theory or speculation. It is the absolute truth, the reality of what happened on Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. This is the account that Sanguinius didn't just die a martyr. It's the truth that he fell to an uncontrollable rage, that he was the one who brutally killed Horus, and that he became a monster who forced the Emperor to strike down not a traitor, but his own beloved son. This is the history the Emperor don't want you to know, because its truth is a weapon that could shatter their empire. And it all starts with the story they wanted you to believe. So, before we expose the truth, let's recap the official state-sanctioned version of events. This is the propaganda you'll find in every Imperial data slate. The Siege of Terra is at its bloody finale, and the War Master Horus, supercharged on chaos power, drops the shields on his flagship. It's a textbook villain trap, an invitation for his father to come and face him. The Emperor, knowing full well it's a trap, teleports aboard with his entourage, including Sanguinius. Through the warp's treachery, the boarding party is scattered. Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels, gets to the throne room first. He's exhausted, wounded, and facing his brother, who's now less brother and more sentient portal to hell. Horus gives him the classic villain offer. Join me, and we can rule the galaxy. Sanguinius, being the ultimate symbol of loyalty, refuses. What happens next, according to the official records, is a tragic but heroic duel. Sanguinius is a demigod, but Horus is a demigod who's been feasting on raw chaos for years. While Sanguinius fights brilliantly and even manages to land a significant blow, creating a weakness the Emperor will later exploit, he is ultimately overpowered. Horus doesn't just kill him, he annihilates him in an act of supreme cruelty. The Emperor arrives to find his favorite son broken and lifeless. This is what steels him to finally erase Horus's soul from existence, though he suffers the mortal wounds that land him on the Golden Throne. It's the story of Sanguinius the Martyr. Perfect, pure, and heroic to the end. A flawless narrative. But every perfect story has a flaw, a single thread you can pull to unravel everything. And for Sanguinius, that flaw is written in his very blood. To understand the truth, you have to look at the evidence they couldn't erase. The Blood Angels. For 10,000 years, they've been saddled with a 2-for-1 genetic curse. The Red Thirst and the Black Rage. The Red Thirst is the older problem. In simple terms, it's a vampiric hunger for blood that can turn these noble space knights into feral beasts. Think of it as a constant craving that's always bubbling just under the surface, a flaw Sanguinius himself possessed. The Black Rage, though, is a whole other catastrophe that appeared only after Sanguinius died. The official story calls it a psychic scar left on the Legion's soul, the memory of their Primarch's agonizing death. A Blood Angel lost to the Black Rage is trapped in a nightmare, believing he is Sanguinius, fighting Horus. It's Berserker mode, but for genetically engineered vampire angels, turning them into uncontrollable killing machines. And this is where the official story falls apart. You've been told the Black Rage is the echo of Sanguinius being murdered by Horus. But what if the rage, the fury, the uncontrollable violence isn't the memory of him dying? What if it's the psychic stain of him killing? If you think this is wild, hit subscribe, because what we're about to reveal changes everything you know about the Imperium. All right, leave the comfort of the lie behind. You've been lied to for 10,000 years. Ready for the truth? This isn't headcanon. This is the reality pieced together from psychic echoes and corrupted data fragments. Sanguinius gets to the throne room first. He's tired, sure, but he's also running on the pure, righteous fury of a demigod who has watched his sons die for months. He confronts Horus. The duel begins, and this is where it all goes sideways. Horus, drunk on chaos power, gets arrogant. He toys with Sanguinius, fatally underestimating the beast his brother has kept chained his entire life. Pushed past his breaking point, Sanguinius doesn't just get angry, he shatters. The red thirst explodes into a Primarch-level version of the Black Rage. This wasn't noble fury, it was a complete, feral surrender to madness. The angel was gone. All that was left was a screaming, blood-crazed killing machine. In this state, he wasn't just Horus's equal, he was superior. Raw, unrestrained Primarch rage slammed against the power of chaos. The duel became a slaughter. Sanguinius didn't just kill Horus, he tore him limb from limb. The chosen champion of chaos was reduced to a pile of traitorous gore, not by a heroic blow, but by a fit of monstrous, uncontrollable violence. The Emperor then goes in, expecting a final showdown with his greatest foe, but what he finds is so much worse, and sets the stage for the most terrible choice a father could ever make. This moment is the twisted heart of the tragedy. The official story says the Emperor hesitated to kill Horus because he saw a flicker of his son inside. The hesitation was real, but the target was different. The Emperor wasn't facing his greatest enemy, he was facing his most beloved son, who had just become a monster. He tries to get through to him, to snap him out of the rage. It doesn't work. The thing in front of him is just the madness now, and in its mind, the Emperor is just another target. The maddened Sanguinius lunge. And this is how the Emperor receives his mortal wounds. Not from a psychic duel with Horus, but from the frenzied, all-out assault of a berserker Sanguinius. He has to fight his own son, a son attacking with the full, unrestrained power of a Primarch. Every blow he blocks is from his angel. Every injury he takes is a betrayal deeper than Horus ever managed. Finally, heartbroken and physically wrecked, the Emperor realizes his son is gone. With his last reserves of strength, he does the unthinkable. He doesn't strike with vengeful fury, but with tragic, sorrowful necessity. He puts Sanguinius down, and in that moment, the dream of the Imperium dies right alongside him. The Emperor made his choice. Would you have made the same one? Drop your take in the comments below. Because with the son dead and the father dying, the fate of the Imperium will be decided not by a sword, but by a lie. Look at the scene as it truly unfolded. The Emperor is dying. Sanguinius is dead by his own father's hand. Horus is in pieces, killed by a rampaging monster. When Rogel Dorn and the Custodes finally breach the throne room, they find a horror show. The truth of what happened here could never, ever get out. Think about the implications. If the galaxy knew that Sanguinius, the symbol of loyalty, had fallen to his own inner demon, the Imperium would have crumbled. It would prove that no one, not even the best of them, was safe from their own flaws. It would be a greater victory for chaos than anything Horus accomplished. And so, a decision was made, a pact of silence. A new story was invented on the spot. A simple, heroic, and incredibly useful piece of propaganda. Sanguinius died a martyr's death at the hands of Horus. The Emperor, avenging his perfect son, struck Horus down. The Emperor's wounds? From Horus. Horus's mangled body? Disintegrated by the Emperor to leave no proof. And Sanguinius was remade into the Imperium's greatest saint. His flaw, the rage, was rebranded. It wasn't a psychic stain from his own terrible actions. It was a noble scar from his sacrifice. A martyr is so much more useful for building an empire on than a monster. But now, 10,000 years later, the question is, what do you do with the truth? So you have the two stories. There's the canonical lie, the one in the Imperial primers. Sanguinius the martyr, a perfect hero who died saving humanity, and then there's this shadow history, the grimdark truth of what actually happened. This is not a what if, but the Imperium's greatest, most tragic secret. It's the story of how the best angel became the worst monster, forcing his own father to kill him and bury the truth for 10,000 years. Does this truth change how you see the Imperium? Does it feel like a more fitting tragedy for that dark millennium? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you are ready to face the unfiltered truths of this universe, make sure to like and subscribe for more. This is Initiate Dave, for the Emperor, whichever version of him you choose to believe in.
The Council approves this video. Subscribe now.